Thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers for providing me this opportunity to present these two abstracts. A quick show of hands from the audience. How many of you are not using platinum in neoadjuvant chemotherapy in TNBC? Okay, I can see 2 hands up. I think all others seem to be using. So my job becomes easy. So the PEARLY trial was evaluated the addition of carboplatin in the adjuvant or the neoadjuvant setting in patients with early TNBC. So the trial design was very simple. Just they randomized TNBC to receive AC followed by taxane or AC followed by taxane plus carboplatin. The taxane choice was between paclitaxel every week for 12 weeks versus docetaxel 3 weekly. And the primary efficacy endpoint was EFS. So the baseline characteristics were well matched between the two subgroups. However, BRCA status was found positive in around 10% of the patients, and and this was an early trial, so more of T1, T2 patients, and adjuvant was given in 30% of the study population. So as you can see from this Kaplan-Meier survival curve, there was a good separation of curve, providing a numerical benefit of 7% around, which was statistically significant. And in the ITT population, there was also a benefit in most of the subgroups, especially in the adjuvant subgroup, where we hesitate sometimes to add carboplatin. And progression during neoadjuvant therapy was decreased by nearly half in the carboplatin arm compared to the standard arm. Though the PAT-CR was numerically higher, it did not meet the statistical significance level. However, the EFS, as has been shown in multiple trials and also by my Dr. Monica, the EFS was better in the patients who achieved a PCR. So comparison, basically only EFS was statistically significant, while the PCR, OS, the IDFS and the DRFS, there was no statistically significant difference, though there was a numerical difference. And grade 3 neutropenia, as expected, was higher in the carboplatin arm, as we all are quite familiar with use of carboplatin. All the hematological toxicities are more in the carboplatin arm, and I think as we use more and more carboplatin in the neoadjuvant setting, especially with the weekly PACLI, we all are now becoming more familiar on how to adjust for the toxicities. And I think as discussion, I would like to compare this with Sudeep sir's trial. Here, though the TMH trial included more of locally advanced and advanced cases of TNBC, while the PEARLY trial included only the early breast cancer, and the protocol was also slightly different. However, our Indian study showed a significant EFS, OS and a PAT-CR difference, which were all statistically significant compared to the PEARLY trial, where only EFS was significant. But the curves have shown a separation, so the long-term data is awaited, and this was presented only as an abstract, so we are still not sure about the final details. Just to put things in context, this was the keynote 522, which my prior speaker and the later speaker will also be speaking about, and this was the TMC trial, where the protocol was slightly different with the use of paclitaxel carboplatin for 8 weeks. So my take-home message would be addition of, I would feel more confident about using carboplatin in triple negative breast cancer, as has been supported by multiple trials. There is increased toxicity, but I think we are comfortable using carboplatin. I'm not sure if there is a subset of patients among the TNBCs who benefit more from carboplatin. I think more molecular studies are required with BRCA and expanded BRCA testing to see actually the subset of patients who benefit from carboplatin. Is it something like a poor man's olaparib kind of addition? And I think this would make me even more confident in adding carboplatin in the adjuvant setting, and the full paper is awaited. Again, my second topic is on dose-dense chemotherapy. Again, a show of hands, anybody who's not using dose-dense chemotherapy in your regular practice, in fit patients. So I think again, I'm talking to a converted audience. So this is about the importance of dose-dense therapy. So I think it is standard of care that dose-dense and sequential administration of anthracycline and taxane in adjuvant setting. But there was always a doubt, because the original trials which established that dose-dense chemotherapy works used a weaker comparator of 3 weekly paclitaxel, which we know from the E1199 trial that 3 weekly paclitaxel is inferior to weekly paclitaxel and 3 weekly docetaxel. So this trial was actually reported previously. This is the Panther trial, where they tried a tailored dose-dense therapy with EC 2 weekly followed by dose-dense docetaxel 2 weekly or there was a FEC 3 cycles followed by docetaxel 3 cycles, both 3 weekly. And all patients received trastuzumab and all patients received hormonal therapy as per the standard guidelines. So I think this was the previous study, the one on the top, if you can see, that was published in 2016. It was a negative trial for the primary endpoint, but as you can see, though it was negative in the initial report, there was a separation of the curves, and so on a longer follow-up. The current trial is a longer follow-up of the original trial, which has now come to be positive. So they also had a second component other than dose dense. It was a tailoring of therapy. There was a DA epoch. I think we are used to using epoch in lymphoma. So there was a tailoring of therapy based on the absolute neutrophil count and the platelet count, a very complicated protocol. However, they used a tailored protocol, and like any other Western trial, there were very few patients who had more than 5 centimeter tumors, and this tumor cohort contained more of ERPR positive tumors. And coming to the current results of the updated results, the BCRFS was 3.7% different between the two arms, and the EFS was also significantly different of around 4%. However, the OS did not reach statistical significance, though the DDFS also showed around 3 to 4% benefit. So I think again, all of us who have used the dose dense protocol know that fatigue is a significant problem. Neuropathy is a significant problem, especially in this case they've used 2 weekly docetaxel. So I think neuropathy would have been a significant problem. Anemia and other hematological complications were also more in the dose dense arm when compared to the conventional arm. But as you can see, what I've already shown in the table, the EFS and the breast cancer relapse-free survival were significantly different, while overall survival, there was no statistical significance. This subset or this subgroup analysis also shows a benefit in most of the subsets. So conclusion, dose-dense chemotherapy, yes, I would confidently use dose-dense chemotherapy, but patient selection is important. And also, as someone had alluded to yesterday, we also have the recently published CALGB C9741 updated results, 12-year outcomes, which also confirms the benefit of dose-dense therapy. Here again, the DFS and the OS benefit seem to be, the absolute benefit seems to be much more than the current trial, which may be related to the fact that they use 3 weekly paclitaxel rather than a dose-dense taxane. So I think that would be my take-home message. Thank you.